machine. I wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, and if I lose the fight, I still rage against the I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Thursday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Thursday. It is Friday Junior, folks. Welcome, everybody. John Lithium, Quad Bennett, Violet Quinlaw, Moanep, Kirkenstein's Monster, George Waters. Welcome, everybody. Yeah, never meet your heroes, folks. Snoop was predictable. I didn't know that. I thought that was really cringe on Snoop Dogg. I had to stop listening or seeing live one of my favorite bands because the guitar player went to January 6th. Boo. Tom Morello. Nah, I think Tom Morello would be like a that would be shocking. Like I would genuinely be shocked. Because Tom Morello has quite the repertoire when it comes to activism and where he falls on like politics. So that would shock me. That would genuinely shock me. I mean, Stephen Carpenter from Deftones is a flat earther. Oof. Gotcha. I didn't know who she was either. Gloria Gaynor. I mean, it is what it is. Carpenter's like, Deftones has fans all over the disc. The drummer for System of a Down is a Trumpy, which is insane to me. That's actually kind of wild. Like, how did that one happen? Like, Surge is pretty solid. Well, I mean, System of a Down doesn't really, like, exist anymore, right? Like, they don't really tour or anything like that. But, you know, I mean, Serj Tankian is pretty solid. Bipedal Meatbag, welcome. Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols is a huge chumper. Boo. That would explain why they've been quiet. Yeah, they're pretty much like, I haven't seen anything about System of a Down in a long time. Mostly Serge and Darren's private projects. Gotcha. Nadia, welcome. Cheers. So we have a pair of interesting maps here in the UK. Surge is solid, but explains why the system hasn't come back together to tour with the current presidency. I've never seen Deftones, but they were a local band, and I found out that I smoked weed at the house they were practicing, and I don't know, they were the Deftones at that time. Oh, that's pretty cool. Heat, how's it going? Just get a new drummer. Yep, there you go. I mean, like, seriously, though. I don't know why System of a Down hasn't, like, done much. But, yeah. I know Surge definitely is a good egg. Even, like, from his solo stuff, you could tell where his head's at. Deftones are playing out here tomorrow, and I can't go. Boo. Deftones are playing. Oh yeah, I read that. If you lay the Brexit voting maps over the map of the worst affected areas of BSC or Mad Cow's disease, they almost completely match each other. Coincidence? Because they retired? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not sure. Bozy. It's just... I just haven't seen anything from them. It's still 23, 25. Not Friday just yet. A little bit. Like 30 minutes and you're into the future. You're already on the weekend. Gus Bus, cheers, brother. Thought I would stop by. Been a long time. Hey, welcome. And thank you. I stopped listening to some German band because they were turfs. Eesh. I want to go to the Aftershock to see Yngwie Malmsteen, who I've never seen before. That's cool. I just want to go to Aftershock to see. Oh yeah. I don't know why it just like repeated the message for me. These days, it's hard for any large band to get a sizable tour going, though. True. Look up Protect the Land when you're done streaming. What is Protect the Land? Oh. It's a System of a Down song. I'm down to check that out after. Heck yeah. Appreciate it. No, appreciate you. Thank you. How you doing? It was Das Pop Preparat that turned out to be Turfs. Boo. One of their newest singles. Nice. I definitely have to check that out. I've been good. That's good to hear. New System of a Down music. I mean, new-ish. New-ish in the sense that it was released about 5 years ago. I guess it's all relative, yeah? Protect the Lands is a good one. They did a lot of stuff that didn't go big over the invasion of Armenia that was really good still. Yeah, pre-COVID. It was in 2020. Like, right at the cusp. The space clipped your show Tuesday and it was glorious. Really? Nice. Nice. I gotta check that. I gotta check that out. You know, YouTube is terrible for YouTube is terrible for notifications, man. YouTube is terrible. Funny story, I went to New Orleans to play the internationals for Pokemon TCG. What? Nice. And during one of the rounds, my friend showed me his next opponent. It was your exact first and last name. What? That's funny. My sister's really big. Like, she's not a good player per se at Pokemon, but she's a massive like collector, and she's been really getting into that. That's super funny. It wasn't mostly released on System of a Down. It was mostly Darren Scars on Broadway and Surge's private stuff, but Soed did come together to do a version of Protect the Land. Nice. Gotcha. I swore it was you. No, I've never stepped foot in New Orleans. That's pretty wild. That's pretty wild. Maybe a spiritual doppelganger, since I may not like be, I may not go hard on Pokemon TCG, but I go medium on Magic the Gathering TCG. So maybe it was some kind of spirit doppelganger. I really want to get back into Magic, but I don't know how to get my foot in the door. I mean, like, you just, I don't know, just play, because I haven't played Magic in like quite a while, and they're like releasing these like new sets with some really cool mechanics, and more importantly, obviously, the most important part is like the artwork of the cards, and um the artwork of the lands, and they've been pretty decent. Like, it's cool. It's like some space theme. Um, they've got some space stuff going on. And if you and if you don't like know where to start, you can just start in older formats that still use a lot of the old cards that have been around. Um, uh, like modern, like modern. I've got a modern deck, and that deck hasn't changed since I've played, since like 10, no, definitely definitely more than 10 years ago. I'll probably play Commander. That's another option. Commander's a perfect entry point too. Although now I don't know why they've decided to make it like an actual competitive format, quote unquote. But Commander's fine, especially if you have like a couple of friends that want to play Commander. When my sister came over to visit with her boyfriend, we had a Commander deck. We had a Commander match that lasted about 4 hours. So that was perfect. Perfect. Commander is a perfect format to dive back in as well. I have two decks, so I can always have a game still. Nice. I've got a sick green white wolf pack deck. Nice. My decks are old enough. One was my little bros, and I had them in high school, although I added them to them a few years. Nice. Mrs. Truth's deck is something I built along with her foundation. It's like a black-white vampire deck that hasn't. I mean, like, it's still a modern deck, but I haven't put anything into that. The same thing goes with my like one deck that I have. Besides like just the random collector cards that I've accumulated over like 10 million years. Some of which have been given because capitalism. Yep. I'm not a big fan of the Universes Beyond crap, like the Marvel and all the other crap. Mattel sucks. I mean, like, the only thing that I liked so far was the Fallout Soul Ring. The Fallout Soul Ring was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The Fallout Soul Ring was pretty good. One's a blue wizard morph deck, and the other green, black, red giant monster trample direct damage deck. Nice. Michael Hassler, welcome. The Lord of the Rings was cool. Yeah, that one was. I like the lands. Again, I'm just like a big fan of the artwork. Um, for any TCG, like the thing that always gets me is the artwork. Um, so the lands in the Lord of the Rings series was pretty good. Um, so I'll give them that. Ladybug, welcome. Folks, let's get started. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store, hit the exclamation mark tip. Substack, join the Discord, folks, and check out my show on this space every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Every Tuesday at 7 p.m., check out this space. Yeah, you can't collect the card game without a good artwork. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Big fan of the Lord of the Rings lands. Big fan. John A1 did all the best lands in classic MTG. I agree. We should bring back Pogs. I'm old enough to know what that is. However, I never actually had Pogs as a kid. At least I don't think so. I don't think I ever got Pogs as a kid. For me, it was mostly like my toys were mostly, it was simple stuff. Besides like regular action figures, I had like the gray Nintendo, Nintendo brick, you know, with Mario, and then Pokemon. Occasionally I'd have some Pokemon cards back in the day. Man, what I would give. I understood that reference. What I would give to go back in time and save some of those Pokemon booster packs from like 1990 whatever, 98 I want to say. The first edition. I don't know. I didn't know about slammers. You guys just taught me that today. I had no idea. If you asked me what a slammer was, I had no idea. I know what pogs are, but no idea what a slammer is. I'm imagining like their competitor. I've got a brass slammer shaped like a coffin with a holographic skull. It's freaking sick. Nice. I'll post pictures. Nice. I'll check him out after stream. I'd say a cheap shot of alcohol with a sweetener. You want to have a slammer? Yeah, I'll take 2 slammers on the rocks. Ladybug, welcome. I don't know if I said hi. Nana Sadie, welcome. Alabama Slammer is a drink. Oh, there you go. Like vodka and Red Bull? No, that's dangerous. What is that called again? I know that has a name. Vodka and Red Bull has a name. It's called it's called no, it's not an Irish car bomb. That's something different. It's called I'm gonna cave. I'm gonna Google it. What is it? Red Bull and vodka. No, man, it's got a name. a heart attack? No. Google is being silly. Red Bull and vodka has a specific name. I'm pretty sure. Like in fact, like when my friend turned 21 many moons ago, we had like several of these things. And they had a name. We ordered them by name. This is not very helpful. A heart attack? A speedball? Raging bull? Yeah, that's what I'm getting. But no, there's like specific name. There's a specific name for it. That we used to order. Oh my goodness! And I can't believe I'm forgetting. First rank of Long Island in 1986. I forgot he was shy. Nice. I used to drink those for fun. No, the Long Islands. You gotta be careful. My go-to for when I was too tired to have fun at the bar. Yeah, I had that heart attack special. There are chunks of the rocket that would fit together and held your pogs. Huh. No, I didn't get any of that. Nope, I didn't even own any pogs. I saw the commercials for them, Those 90s commercials, like slam the pogs. Now that's gonna bother me. I don't remember the name of that drink. Oh, the vodka and Red Bull? Oof. Jaeger and Red Bull? That's also a drink. What is that called? Wait a minute. Am I confusing Jaeger and Red Bull? Jaeger bombs. Okay. Wait a minute. Nope. Core memory unlocked. I was wrong. What I was thinking about were Jaeger bombs. Yeah. What I was thinking about was Jaeger bombs, not vodka and Red Bull. I was I was incorrect. You see, that's why you shouldn't drink those things, folks. You can't even remember them. I used to like the taste of Red Bull. Me too. Me too. I was a big fan of energy drinks like that. Yeah, we got there. It took us a minute, but we got there. I'm gonna buy some Pog stuff before it gets big again. Nostalgia's a hell of a drug. Yep. Don't ask me how I know. I think I may have liked the vodka. You were drunk when you made those memories. Yeah, and I swear, I swear, like, I thought it was vodka and Red Bull, but I was wrong. Sell your old stuff to Zoomers at marked up prices. Just kidding, I'm still using. Yeah, like, yeah. No, like, I wouldn't sell my nostalgia. Leave my nostalgia alone. Look what I've got right next to me. I don't even have to go that far. Check this out, chat. Donald Trump is not my president. I mean, unfortunately, he is all of our presidents. And I hate that fact. It's a terrible fact. Oh, because I'm German. Oh, man. I'm setting up my SNES to stream back to middle school. I go, nice. There's a way of getting like the input of, or is it output of your SNES. You put a special cable in it, and then you can put it into whatever HDMI, and you can probably like actually do that. It's a process. I got an old corded phone I'll sell for $500. Oh, you ordered the stuff. Nice. That's pretty cheap. Heck yeah. I mean, if you would have asked this like 10 years or maybe like 5 years ago, I don't know like how much technology has advanced, but I remember it used to be like a pain in the butt to try to like get that to work. Yeah, it's mine. Look at this, chat. Look at this. See this? That is my childhood silver version. Okay, it even still has. It's so old that the permanent marker that had my name on it or my initials on it is faded. That's how old this thing is. That the actual Sharpie permanent marker, that I guess was not so permanent, this had my initials when I was but a wee lad, and it's all faded. That there's no price for that. I put in a new battery and started this back up with a new game, and off to the new adventure like I did back in 2000, early 2000. When did this thing come out? I can't see if it has a date on it. Made in Japan. Look at that. Trump may no longer exist, and soon. Yeah, I mean, the guy's not exactly the pinnacle of health, for one. But yeah, the question would be like, how bad would JD Vance be in comparison? Because I feel like JD Vance would be worse I feel like JD Vance would be worse on paper. But I think that Trump not being in the picture, I think that the MAGA cult, I think that would be broken. I think the MAGA cult would break. Had an IBM laptop with his initials carved in it. Wow. President Couch Effer. Some channels are talking about President JD Vance. Eesh. Vance might be a more effective evil. Yeah, like in on paper, on paper, I think so. It's just a matter of like how much like is he able to hold on to that MAGA cult? Because like, as far as I'm understanding, and I could be wrong, but like my read from like cults and stuff like that, like usually cults don't have the same amount of reach and power when the leader is gone, whether it's because the leader stepped out or whatever, or is just out of the picture. Like the cult doesn't hold together the same way. It's not going to be the same. Like, will some MAGA people still follow JD Vance? Yeah, I'm sure they will. But will it ever be the same? This whole like MAGA movement, will it ever be the same once Trump is out of the picture? I don't think so. I'd like to think that the silver lining in all that is that it won't be. It won't be the same. I think of it this way: the head of the snake is gone, right? And like usually with like usually with like cults, I think it's kind of like that. I feel like that's probably one of the that's probably a really big issue. Seth Evans, Vance will be more competent at normal things expected for politicians status quo to do, but honestly I think it overall would hurt them. Because A, yes, the negative risk, relatively speaking, with respect of the cult of personality and the dear leader versus latest sock puppet. Yes, yes, man, lackey. Right, like it's not going to be Trump. It's not going to be Trump. And like, you know, if you've talked to some of these people, a lot of them are just like serious, like diehard Trumpers. Like they don't care like necessarily about the Republican Party. They follow the cult of personality. And B, because most of what actually matters for having competence is already not being done by Trump himself, much if at all. It's being done by right-wing professional operatives who will remain, I suspect, to be a temporary sandbag. Right, but like the actual underlying support, like how it functions may not change much, But how much support underneath they have, I think it'll be different. The hatred has been around for a while, but the leadership was missing until recently. When he's gone, there'll be a vacuum. But Vance would still be sitting in office with all the army and police forces at his command. I suspect the same reactionary, most credulous people alive, desperate to hear lies and flatter their racism and other retrograde values and beliefs, will quickly glom on to their favorite Nazi replacement. Yep. Well, I hope you're doing alright, Nadia. You gotta take care of yourself. So, they're already talking about declaring the Dem Party a terrorist organization, so what people think might not matter much. Maybe. I saw Stephen Miller make those comments. Stephen Miller made the comment that the Democrat Party is a terrorist organization. That is a super red flag. MAGA will persist after Trump. I mean, yeah, but to what degree? You know, like my question is to what degree will it exist? Like, how powerful will it actually be? Some kind of America First will. I'm not sure if it will be calling itself MAGA though. I mean, like, it might. Trying to like glean off the Trump thing. But I don't know like how big that's gonna be. JD Vance will cower down. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it won't be Vance making these decisions. Donald Trump has no charisma. It's all media rubbish, like camera angles and whatever. I mean, but like people perceive it, whether or not he actually does. People perceive it, right? Like they're for whatever reason they gyrate, they gravitate towards him, whether it's manufactured by the way the media presents him or otherwise. The point is, like, people, I don't know why, other than like, well, I mean, I guess there's many reasons, but all of them would be kind of false. I don't think this is going to be seen as a good phase in the rearview mirror for Middle America. I don't think this will be a good term to appeal to them. I genuinely don't know what the end game would be once you know the dear leader is out of the picture, right? Unfortunately, we've never really seen something like this. I can't, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen this chapter of the book yet. I'm gonna be honest. MAGA's always been here. It was just called the Confederacy. Ah, true. Vance will be a better behaved puppet. He will make no decisions either. It's quite possible. Yeah. I mean, I can buy that. Especially if, you know, especially Vance, right? Like, Vance is like basically groomed by like the Peter Thiel oligarch people. Like, he specifically, like, yeah, there you go, Theo, etc. Yeah, he was like specifically chosen for that exactly, Nadia. I think there'll be a rebrand, some fresh new faces, etc. Like Corps always do. Maybe they'll try, since the MAGA name and branding won't hit the same because it's not Trump. Maybe they'll just do something else. Maybe they'll just go back to the classic America First, and that's it, and call it a day. I'm not hopeful. Stuff is going to have to hit the fan before there'll be any serious change. I mean, like, I would say that hope is always important, no matter how bad the situation is. Is stuff gonna get worse? Maybe. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean we shouldn't have hope to, you know, hopefully fight for things to be better. It will have the same people. They will just have to make it seem new to them because they will remember parts of this and associate it with MAGA. Yep. Trump wasn't even a real millionaire, and his whole tax return rubbish was because he wanted to cover that up. The serious change that's going to happen is not going to be positive. I mean, so far, the path that has been set forward is not great. It's not good. It's not good. But we should have something, some good news, right? Leopards are eating all the wrong faces. Some good news.
Oh, but I'm so disgusted with the cuts the Republican Party has made to this big ugly bill. That's what you're disgusted with. Get out of here.
If you
I'm adding the clapping in the background, by the way.
There's no celebration during this time.
Could you please just listen for just one?
Great podcast from Rachel Dawn today. If you want to feel positive about likely negative stuff coming our way, debt trap's never positive and never seen it done by the reserve currency to itself. Yeah, I mean, we are about to enter areas that we have not seen. Oh, womp womp womp. I can't scroll down. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's the irrelevant show. Relax, guy, relax. It cut off the picture. It did? Oh, boo. Let me see if I can... Yeah, I guess it did. Oh, but this is the actual status. Yeah. Planet Critical. He's like flattered. Yeah, I mean, you can't really say anything, right? Like, you can't say much to this because if they overreact like they did the first time, South Park is just gonna go even harder on them. You should take care of yourself, Nadia. I hope you're doing all right. I just watched Torres walk off the Adam Friedland show set mad at Adam. Well, he can stay mad. That guy's a ghoul. Town halls are my new favorite. Unlike his golf outfit. That suit actually fits Trump. Yeah, it does.
No, you never listen to us.
You guys never do your job. Your votes destroyed our Supreme Court.
You refuse to have town halls with us. We aren't listening to you.
For a moment,
We're fucking genocide.
could you just listen?
Is this like the same senator? Is this the same senator who said that Trump has learned his lesson? Or was it Lisa Murkowski? Was it this same senator who said that Trump learned his lesson? Or was it Lisa Murkowski? This was the same senator, Susan Collins. Looking like I got attacked by a drunk piercer. Yeesh. Ouch. I remember that.
Voted for our Israel, every vote.
I have a suggestion. Would you listen to the
I have a suggestion. Yeah, the suggestion is for you to do your job, Senator. That's the suggestion that should be coming out of your mouth. An apology and a plan to do your job.
Vote Graham Plattner.
That was the warm welcome that Susan Collins received from her own constituents when she showed up to a ribbon-cutting ceremony to finalize the construction of Route 1 in Searport. And as WABI5 reports, that would-be celebration turned into a straight-up demonstration because of her presence, because her constituents were pissed off about her complicity with Trump's fascism, and they were also mad about the fact that she's been supporting Israel's genocide of Palestinians. Now, the people who were there also openly supported Graham Plattner. This is her potential opponent in November of 2026, and he is a 40-year-old oysterman who announced his run for the Senate very recently, and as soon as he launched, his campaign popped off because it became very clear that this individual is the Mamdani of Maine. There was so much excitement online, but it turns out
The Mamdani.
it wasn't just an online thing, because internal polling from Plattner's campaign shows that he is utterly trouncing Susan Collins in a 16-point landslide compared to Janet Mill, the incumbent who's thinking about challenging Susan Collins, who only polls just a point ahead of her. Now, with that being said, this is just one poll, and polling data from 2020 showed that Susan Collins was behind in every single poll, yet she still managed to beat her Democratic opponent by almost 9 points, even though Trump lost that state by 9 points himself. So she somehow managed to cling to life for so long, even though she's betrayed her constituents again and again and again. But in spite of her unwarranted strength, Graham Plattner thinks that she's actually weaker than ever, and now is the time to strike. And he
Go Plattner. Yeesh. Yeah, I would definitely take care of Nadia.
she has a plan to take her down once and for all.
The reason she is weak now is that the Democrats in the state are unlikely to vote for her. But we can't rely on that. We also need to kind of appeal to both disillusioned Trump voters and also, frankly, a lot of unenrolled. Maine's got a lot of independents. And many of them sat the last election out because they're disenchanted and they don't see a politics that represents them as working people. And we need to build that. We need to rebuild a politics in the state of Maine that is of and for.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really that, right? Like, you can't just offer, you can't just offer, like, we're not the other team, right? Like, you can't just offer no solution. You have to actually build a grassroots movement, right, that appeals to the working class as a whole. Yeah, I hear you, Heat. I'm good. This guy seems like the real deal. Yep. Yeah, and he's really, like, he's standing on business. This guy is standing on business 100%. And he's not afraid. And he's not afraid.
The working people of the state of Maine and give people hope. Give them something to believe in again, that we can have a politics that cares about their needs.
And that's what sets him apart from other Democrats who've tried but failed to take down Susan Collins. He's trying to bring out non-traditional voters who tend to stay home because they're disillusioned with the system, and these people don't vote because neither party has tried to even reach out to them. But they are the key to Democrats' success. This is how Zoran Mamdani was able to win so decisively in New York City. He reached out to voters that nobody talked to, that nobody even tried to court, and they helped him win. It's how other Democrats like AOC took down powerful incumbents.
Yeah, like the strategy is really talking about working class issues, right? That's it. It's really like talking about working class issues. That's what it is. It's not appealing to Republicans. It's talking about class issues and uniting the working class. Talk about affordability. Talk about how you're gonna make food more make food more affordable, housing more affordable. Talk about healthcare. That is how you win. Right politics is ultimately about substance, regardless of what else some folks want to believe or make it out. So at the end of the day, if you're just going to treat it like that team sports, the clear message that most people are going to take away is this is just a waste of my preciously finite time and energy. Yep. The definition of success depends on a great deal on what they're trying to do. Yep. Well, I mean, like, I guess if you want to win an election, I guess, right? It would be the definition here, because you're not gonna win elections as a Democrat by trying to appeal to Republicans, by trying to be like this phony kind of corporate candidate that nobody likes. Not how you get donations, though. And meanwhile, wages not nearly keeping up, who very specifically are the kind of people responsible and how they've done this and how we undo this if need those people too if they stand in our way. In my opinion, that's the winning message. Yeah, I mean, like, that's, you have to be able to acknowledge, right, that, like, the corporate, status quo or whatever is not working. And if you can't do that, then it's not, people are just not going to buy it. People are not going to buy it. If you don't offer anything that's also against the status quo, if you don't offer anything else other than the status quo, and you try to shove that down people's throats when they're already tired of the status quo because it's not working, and all you offer is the same thing that is, again, not working for people, then yeah, you're just gonna have a disaster. It's just gonna be a disaster. If Dems fought as hard against the GOP as they fight against Bernie, they're obsessed with creating a strong Republican Party. Their fight is against the progressive left of their own party, not Republicans. Incidentally, the hostility towards the left is also a reason why they're losing. And incidentally, as we're watching right now, that same progressive wing is making more headway now in terms of like all these local elections. These Mamdanis, so to speak, are popping up in all these local elections, which I think that's probably the best way to start is that way. It's that way, right? Like, we need more Mamdanis, okay? We need more Mamdanis. Drain all the AIPAC money, if only. That is a huge project. That is a monumental project that has to be worked on little by little.
Like Joe Crowley. Now, this strategy is difficult because it hinges on organizing, so you have to do the hard work, but this is how you win. And Plattner laid this out at a rally where he explained that this bottom-up approach that he's taking is the only way to actually change things in this country.
Right, like, it only works that way, right? Because, like, again, the status quo right now is not working. It's just not. The status quo is not working. AIPAC is just a means for a foreign government to buy American politicians. Neither party wants to stop that. Yep. AIPAC needs to be declared a terrorist organization. I don't know if AIPAC is a quote terrorist organization, but they definitely should be outlawed on the grounds that they're just like it's just bribery, man. They're just buying politicians, okay? They're buying politicians and influencing foreign policy because they can. That's it. Like, the same goes for all these massive, like, lobbying groups as well. Then politicians would represent voters again rather than donors. They need to ban political donations except for individuals and cap it at like 1,000 by individual. Yeah, we need publicly funded elections. I mean, like, that's pretty much it. No more super PACs. Yep, they support a terrorist nation, so yeah, they are. I mean, that's fair. The ideal number of political parties is 0. I honestly don't even care. Like, if political parties didn't exist, because then that would mean that it would mean that politicians would actually have to, it would mean that politicians would have to advocate for the policies on their merits and not just run campaigns based on a political party apparatus. We should take a clear public policy stance against ethno-nationalism. Yeah. Or genocide. Yeah. I mean, like, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear cut to me. Campaign donations aren't really how the kickbacks work. No, but it definitely helps, right? I mean, it does nothing if you can't get your people out. Or another way of thinking about it is the reason why campaign donations are important, or kind of a kickback, is in the sense that you can eliminate politicians like Jamal Bowman. You can eliminate politicians like Cori Bush, right? Even if necessarily, like, the Democratic person that took out Cori Bush, right? Even if they're like not the perfect candidate for AIPAC, the fact that Cori Bush is gone is a win in and of itself. That's all return on investment. Police forces didn't used to exist neither, just sheriffs. That's why they aren't talked about in the Constitution. Gotcha.
A society in which we've been told a story that power is not for us. Power is not for the people. There is a different class, a different type of person whose job it is to wield power, to be a CEO, to be a politician. This is not true. This is false. Power exists for those who are willing to organize and to take it.
Yep.
What I am asking you to do is to show up, to come out, to go to events, to knock on doors, to do the hard work.
Why does this guy sound like a pro wrestler guy? No, I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying, like, he's definitely like bringing the energy. This guy has the it factor. I think this guy might actually get pretty far. He knows his audience. He kind of does sound like Alex Jones. Bone saw is ready. Dude sound like a bit of a commie. Yeah, it's also the music. I'm so pumped up right now. Just two of the things that need to be updated in the Constitution is covering organized police forces and political parties and what they can and cannot do. I mean, you could probably, like, make legislation for that. He definitely does. It's also his choice of campaign music, which I don't mind. No, I'm digging it. This is not a this is not a dig against them. I'm just saying chutzpah.
To do what is uncomfortable, and that is to connect with your neighbors. We are in a moment where a clarity of purpose and an ability to appeal to Mainers across the spectrum, from Republicans to Democrats, from progressives to conservatives, it is paramount. Right now, we are in a battle for the survival of our democracy and against fascism.
So his goal is to mobilize the working class to form
Like he's not even afraid. He's not even afraid. Remembers Fetterman. Yeah, I hope that this guy's not a Fetterman. I don't think so. I don't think so. We're so used to feckless and gormless politicians that any sort of charisma seems miraculous. True. He sounds like Super Dave. I don't think that like Fetterman ever like even remotely went this hard, did he? I don't remember. Kane from WWE is now a mayor in Kentucky. Is he like a good mayor though? Like, or legislation can be changed though if they made taking donations from foreign powers a bribe or foreign influence under Constitution, they couldn't change the legislation back without a referendum. Yeah, but I mean, like, also, I mean, if they put it in law, it's also kind of difficult to undo it. That making legislation, making legislation that says like you cannot take bribes. Like, in fact, the Democrats tried to make some kind of like anti gerrymandering law that would strengthen that would strengthen the way we do redistricting, and would also make a significant step forward in taking care of gerrymandering. And the Republicans were not having any of it because, like, they know that once something becomes law, like if both parties sign it, and it becomes law. Not both parties, both chambers pass, and a law gets signed. It's very difficult from there to kind of dismantle it. It's difficult. Fetterman was rather milquetoast before his stroke. Though this guy seems laser focused and specific. I agree. Will he visit Israel if elected? Asking the important questions. Yeah, that's the one question on my mind.
mass movement big enough to dethrone Susan Collins.
If Plattner gets elected to the Senate, where's the first place that he would go visit? And why is it not Israel? Why? How much he can bench though? Probably more than Ben Shapiro. That guy looks like that guy looks jacked. We had politicians do an anti-corruption commission here recently without putting it into Constitution as just legislation, and prosecuted like one person in 5 years, and they're taking novelty-sized bribe at campaign events here. Yeesh. I mean, it sounds like maybe they it sounds like maybe they didn't they drafted the legislation in such a way that they kind of, glossed over, or they're not enforcing the law, in which case, like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't, if Trump tomorrow, if Trump tomorrow, like, decides that he doesn't want to follow the Constitution, right, like, which he has shown that he's pretty in favor of just tossing the Constitution, then I mean, like, it kind of doesn't matter, right? The point being is, like, in any case, this is kind of like tomato, right? Like, I'd be fine if it's in the Constitution as part of like a constitutional amendment. It'd be very difficult to change a constitutional amendment. just as I would argue, it would be difficult to change like actual law. But I will say, it is easier to change. I will give you this. It is easier to change a law than it is to change an amendment. We had the richest woman in Australia give leader of one of our parts a 40,000 novelty-sized check, bribe on stage, no prosecutions for services to whatever it was. Yeesh. Enough them's always the fact to kill such things, and they take turns and plans which one do it. I mean, like in this case, I think it was just like, I know they've done that before. Just like Republicans always have, like, their one or two people that can defect to still make their, stuff. But I think in this case, it was pretty strictly, heavily on partisan lines. Whether or not it was ever going to pass is probably not, since it benefits both parties. A part of the problem is also enforcement, which is to do with very real actual facts on the ground of power. Like you can put whatever you want on paper, call it a constitution or not. State requires a supermajority vote by somebody to change it or not. At the end of the day, if the people affected themselves aren't empowered to execute the law themselves directly, the people who are changed with that. You can still change the constitution, but you have to take it to the people. I mean, like, yeah, you also have to do, like, you can also do it through a convention of states. Our charge with that have to do it in a manner that makes it efficient for the former to A, know what the F they're doing, and judge it for what it is and what it means for them, and accurately, and B, be able to take actions consequential and adverse to the people who are not actually following the law, such as their behavior is checked and deterred. Yet they're still doing that by disregarding them, so it seems people are not concerned with what's legal or not anymore. I mean, Trump certainly isn't. They promised a proper corruption commission to get elected, but once elected, the two major parties work together to make a totally opaque system that you don't even get to know if someone's being investigated. Wait, but like that's not that seems like a really like bad setup. That isn't a verdict on like the concept of making it into law. That just seems like a problem with like the execution of that. It just seems like flimsy, like, oh look, we're pretending to do something about it, but actually we're not going to do anything about it. Versus if they put an actual law on the books that says these are the consequences if you're caught like taking a bribe, let's say 2 years in prison, and you're stripped of your office, and you can't run for office for like 10 years, whatever. But like to say like, oh, don't worry, pinky promise, we're gonna have like a commission, and of course it's gonna be bipartisan, and like, but trust us, pinky promise that everything is gonna work out. Yeah, that doesn't do it. Article 5 conventions are how Republicans are planning to perma rig. I mean, what their mechanism for rigging these elections, I imagine is just going to be a couple of ways. Specifically with the redistricting. I don't know like how willing they are going to do to try to do the whole like elector stuff, but I don't know. Yep. The enforcement mechanisms are deliberately undermined. Exactly. That's my issue with legislating. Real legislation is good, but often it ends up being a list of loopholes. Right, but like that's not like a problem with like the concept of it, because you could make a constitutional amendment with the same thing, right? Like for example, the 14th Amendment supposedly outlaws slavery, asterisk, or 13th Amendment supposedly outlaws slavery, asterisk, unless It's I guess it's just a matter of like how you want to go about it, really. By the political class, capital punishment only for all violations of duties of public office. I mean, like, the punishment must be. It's not like the punishment isn't what deters crime. It's the likelihood of you being caught, and weigh that against what the punishment is. But like, I think the bigger factor is like the likelihood of somebody getting caught. In which case, you would try to draft it in such a way that, like, hey man, listen, if you're caught doing some stuff like insider trading or whatever, and that's going to be done because you have to submit records every cycle or whatever. I mean, like, make it in such a way so that it's difficult for you to get away with that kind of stuff.
And the reason why he's creating so much buzz is because he's focusing on building class solidarity among working people by focusing on their material well-being and being openly antagonistic towards the ruling class. And this is something that's missing in so many campaigns. And in his campaign launch video, he got a lot of attention because of the things that he said. So he talked about this common enemy that the working class should unite behind, and that's billionaires. And if you've been watching this show for a while now, this is the exact strategy that I have pitched to Democrats for a long time now. It's not immigrants or trans people who's your enemy, it is billionaires. And this is the approach that Plattner seems to be taking.
But everywhere I've gone, it seems like the fabric of what holds us together is being ripped apart by billionaires and corrupt politicians, profiting off of destroying our environment, driving our families into poverty, and crushing the middle class. I did 4 infantry tours in the Marine Corps and the Army. I'm not afraid to name an enemy, and the enemy is the oligarchy. It's the billionaires who pay for it.
Hey, well, can I get a comment on Can I get a comment on Ben Shapiro about the about how much this guy can bench press, right? What's the criticism? Okay, I need I need a Ben Shapiro I need a Ben Shapiro response to this. That's mostly exaggeration to capture the actual point, which I think is true, that violations of the power one is entrusted as a representative should be viewed as one of the most heinous criminal violations one can do, but aren't. Yeah, I agree with that. Glaring symptom of the problem and lacking of democracy status quo, in my opinion. Assigns crime and punishment as chat reading assignment. I can definitely write that one down. Add that one to the backlog. I often love this guy. Billionaires shouldn't exist. Yep. The enemy is the oligarchy. I agree. But honestly, the punchline of my attempted at humorous hyperbole is that it would be a less far extreme than the status quo if those were the only two possibilities. Gotcha. I bet it's more than Ben. This is not the bench you're looking for. But bet it's at least twice as much Ben weighs.
The politicians who sell us out. And yeah, that means politicians like Susan Collins. I'm not fooled by this fake charade of Collins' deliberations and
again, like I want to see the criticism here. Like, is this guy not like the man's man? You know, I need an answer from Ben Shapiro on this one. I don't care how much my politician bends, but 1,000%. Oh yeah, no, this is just me. This is me memeing on Ben Shapiro mostly. We can't call it a democracy when you can buy influence. It's incompatible. Yep.
Generation. The difference between Susan Collins and Ted Cruz is at least Ted Cruz is honest about selling us out and not giving a damn. People know that the system is screwing them. They know it in their bones. Nobody I know around here can afford a house. Healthcare is a disaster. Hospitals are closing. We have watched all of that get ripped away from us, and everyone's just trying to keep it all together. Why can't we have universal health care like every other first world country?
Nice.
Why can't we take care of our veterans when they come home? Why are we funding endless wars and bombing children? Why are CEOs more powerful than unions?
Nice.
We fought 3 different wars since the last time we raised the minimum wage.
Nice.
I'm not pretending to have all the answers, but I know that I'm asking the right questions.
And that's why he went viral, because
Oof. First they came for the couches, now the benches. You probably could bench press Ben on a bench pressing what Ben can bench. Now there's a tongue twister. He could probably true and savage. Yep, he sounds like Patrick Warburton is playing a politician in a movie. Yep. Welcome, Ground Level News.
that ad
I don't think I said hello. These are the questions we're all desperately seeking answers to. I mean, we know, right? It's just like I feel like the fact that that he's putting it in such a way is so important with especially like the normie apolitical folks. Like, hey, why are CEOs more important or have more power than unions? That's a good question. Why can't we have universal health care like literally everyone else? That is a good question. You know, like obviously we can, it is incumbent upon us to have the answers and go, well, it's because of capitalism, and we can explain why capitalism has made it so. You know, private insurance companies need to go, and they're the ones that are basically gatekeeping your healthcare. There you go. Thinks he's the tick. Capitalism. Sorry if various things weird to begin with, and the YouTube censors trained me to arrange it even stranger. That happens. Yeah, because Jeff Bezos needs a fifth yacht.
was
That's
phenomenal. And to be honest, he's kind of selling himself short there, because if the rest of the party just adopted those few policies he named there, he has more on his website, but if they just adopted those policies, we would all be in an infinitely better position. The Democratic Party would be so much more liked and electable, because these are things that the base wants. And that's what makes him...
And just people in general want, man. Like, seriously. I'm terribly online, so don't listen to me, but my 2 cents is very rhetorically effective.
such a solid candidate. He checks all.
So you hated death panels. Well, you're gonna really hate insurance companies. Exactly. Like what is a death panel if not a private insurance company, right? Like what is a death panel if not a private insurance company weighing in on whether or not you deserve your cancer treatments?
Boxes of policies that the base actually wants. First and foremost, he unapologetically supports Medicare for all, and as he alluded to in that ad, he is against Israel's genocide in Gaza. And yes, he uses the word genocide, which is refreshing. In an interview with Prem Tucker on Zateo, he eloquently says there is a genocide that is occurring in Gaza, and at some point in the not so distant future, we are all going to be looking around and realizing that we failed the ultimate moral test of our time. And that is exactly what I want to hear from people who...
Man, like how freaking hard is that, man? Can you imagine? Like, can you like let's visit an alternate timeline. Can you imagine if Kamala Harris came out on stage and was like, "Yep, Dad used to be a risk assessor before they had computers for it. They don't have a panel anymore. It's an algorithm. And death algorithms now. I'd be tired of all the winning, Mike, if that was the case. True.
Want to get elected to Congress. Now, because we live in an era where we actually have to ask where Democrats stand on LGBTQ plus rights, well, here's what Graham Plattner said in a Reddit AMA. Quote, "I stand right in the fucking way of anyone who's going to try to come after the freedoms of the LGBTQIA plus community."
Like, why is that so difficult to say, man? Like, why is that so difficult? Like, I mean, seriously, like that, you know, we had that leak or story that like, oh, the Democrats shouldn't be saying LGBTQI or whatever. Like, dude, this guy is like saying like, no, man, if where do I stand? Very simple. I'm standing in the way of people that want to screw with human rights of marginalized people. That's it. That's so freaking simple, man. That's so freaking simple, man. I'm speaking. This dude needs to chill. I can only get so hard.
This platform, he actually takes a shot at Democrats capitulating to Republicans on LGBTQ plus
Yeah,
issues.
like freaking like some more corporate minded Dems. I don't know, maybe not necessarily corporate, but like more like triangulating professional, like, you know, what are these people called? The consultant, like these professional consultant class type Dems who make like this non-answer when it's all so simple, man. Like, just stand up for marginalized people. That's it.
She was saying, I am tired of seeing politicians using small groups of people as a punching bag, be it race or gender identity or sexual orientation. Sadly, we have even Democrats trying to pander to what they think Trump voters want by peddling soft bigotry. Doesn't work, never has.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Like, dude, people are not going to go to the Democratic Party because you're being like a transphobe or whatever, or because like you're indulging the transphobic arguments. You know, like Gavin Newsom comes to mind. But like, people are not going to go to the Democratic Party because of that. You're not going to win MAGA. You're not going to win. You're not going to win these people. There's no point. There's no point to try to pander to the MAGA movement, to the Republican movement. They're all one and the same right now. By trying to be MAGA light, like, oh, we can be like a little bit transphobic, right? You don't like the transes, right? And so, like, why don't you just hang out over here? Like, but no, that's not how that works. That's not how that works. Opportunists, yeah, there you go. Imagine trying to pander to MAGA, right? Like, you don't want to do that, because number one, like, it doesn't work. Number two, it alienates your own base, the base that potentially could vote for you, because they don't want you doing Republican stuff. Like, why would I be voting for a Democratic candidate if they're out here just doing Republican stuff for the sake of trying to, like, appeal to Republicans? Like, I don't want you doing, like, this bad immigration bill. Like, I don't want you indulging the same type of rhetoric of, like, oh, well, I'm not against open borders and I'm strong on immigration. Like, dude, nobody has open borders. Nobody's talking about that. Why are you indulging that? Or the same thing, like, oh, well, I don't believe that, like, you know, trans people should be in women's sports or trans women shouldn't be in women's sports. Like, dude, that was already proven that it is a Trojan horse, man. They even admitted, all these like anti-trans people were like, yeah, we just use women's sports as a way to, like, you know, as a way to get in, to try to, like, you know, beat down, punch down on trans people. That's how it was. Literally, they admitted it. They think they won't be targets if they go MAGA light. I mean, like, really? Because, like, I don't know, man. It seems, I mean, I guess it's possible. It just seemed more like they were just trying to be, like, desperately, desperately trying to, like, get, you know, like, MAGA people, because they think that somehow that was going to be the ticket in. We don't have to imagine Kamala campaigned with Liz Cheney. True. And look how that turned out. B-Ree, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub for 6 months. I appreciate it. Status Quo Dems, thank you so much. I appreciate it. In the immortal words of Nancy Pelosi, the Dems' goal is to create a strong Republican Party. Yeah, I mean, her exact quote was, we need a strong Republican Party. No, we do not. America used to have open borders. Pretty much country wanted to be bigger. All the West wanted to be bigger 40 to 100 years ago. Yeah, but, like, what they mean is, like, what they mean by open borders is just, like, letting the brown people in, right? Like, letting the brown asylum seekers in is what they call open borders policy. That's what they're talking about.
I will support passing at last federal LGBTQ anti-discrimination legislation. And he's of course referring to the Equality Act, which would ban discrimination against LGBTQ plus people at the federal level. And that is crucial because it would override discriminatory state bans related to pride parades, drag shows, and more importantly, gender-affirming healthcare. So to see him acknowledge our fears about the Democratic Party abandoning us and assuring us that he's not going to be one of those people that sells us out like other Democrats like Pete Buttigieg and Gavin Newsom have, that is so incredibly valuable. He is in tune with the entire base, and that is why sky's the limit for this individual. And what I find so refreshing is that when he talks about forming a working class coalition by
I hope that like he wins, because like, you know, I hope that that kind of turns into like, again, I can't see the future, but I hope that this becomes some kind of like snowball effect where someone like Mamdani wins the biggest city in the country as mayor. You know, someone like Plattner wins the Senate race, right? And then like maybe perhaps like more progressive minded people can start winning more races from bottom to top. Yeah, can we only do just like look, if I let you do a half fascism, can you meet me halfway? You absolutely never have to give it to actual Nazis, with the sole exception of redacted.
Reaching out to disillusioned Trump voters as well. He's not doing that by pandering to them and by watering down his own message. He's doing it by finding common ground when possible. And he's especially good at this because he used to be a conservative himself, and he works with a bunch of conservatives, and he says that there's already common ground there on a bunch of issues.
And we bitch every day. We sit down drinking coffee at the bottom of the Sullivan boat launch, complaining about rich people stealing our money, complaining about a healthcare system that's falling apart, and complaining about the fact that none of our friends and family can afford a place to live. We talk about those things, and we all agree on it. It's funny. Over the past week, people are like, "How are you going to talk to Trump supporters?" I'm like, "What, are you kidding me? I do it."
Like, yeah, you don't have to talk to Trump supporters like a Trump supporter, right? This is the argument that I was having. It's not like trying to appeal to Trump supporters like in this like triangulated consultant class way. It's more like, hey, listen, I'm going to put down a working class campaign, and it just so happens that, like, I don't know, like there's a bunch of MAGA people that are also working class. Perhaps this answer appeals to them, and some may be moved. That's how it goes. It's not like, oh, how can I appeal to MAGA people? It's more like, how can I get the most amount of working class people behind what I'm trying to do? And what I'm trying to do is try to get people healthcare, make housing affordable, you know. Well, MAGA needs to ask is, once the brown people are gone, who is the next group that is surplus requirements? Because without brown people to work them or markets to export, they aren't needed. The big guys like McDonald's already have the local market sorted. Because they are going to find it small business like farmers. Because without brown people to work them or markets to export, they aren't needed. The big guys like McDonald's have already the local market sorted. Yeah, I don't really think that far, do they? Military occupation of blue cities seems rather likely to be used to assassinate local government. That's too far to the left. Well, I mean, we'll see how far this whole nonsense goes, to be honest. I mean, we do have Stephen Miller talking about the opposition party. The opposition party being the Democratic Party as a terrorist organization. So, I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying.
every day.
Now, to be clear, I don't think that he's under the illusion that he's going to be able to convert every Trump supporter, nor do I believe that's his goal, because there are so many triple Trumpers in particular who are just too far gone. Their brain is mush at this point, and you can't get through to them, regardless of how good your class-based economic message is. But having said that, the class-based message that he's running on can have mass appeal. The class-based message and the affordability message that Zoran Mamdani ran.
Exactly. So it's not like you're triangulating this to appeal to MAGA people. You're doing it to bring a coalition of the working class together. That's it.
That actually won over some individuals who just voted for Donald Trump. He talks to these people in his campaign videos, but primarily the goal is to bring out non-voters because they are always the ones who push progressives over the edge. And the way you do that is by trying something completely new and by actually offering them policies that will improve their lives. Policies they want, not policies you think they want. Incrementalist policies that you're trying to shove down their throats. Now, he laid out his strategy in more detail on MSNBC, and what he says here is perfect.
I feel like we need to try something new. We need to send up candidates who don't represent the establishment. There's a lot of anti-establishment angst right now. And I fear that by going with the old tired playbook that we've used, we may yet again fail to unseat Susan Collins, even though now she's probably weaker than she's ever been. And so essentially...
BCAT, welcome. You'll however get through to a lot of farmers who might be a bit racist, but care more about the family farm. Maybe.
My pitch is, I don't have to read a New York Times article to learn about how to talk to Trump voters. They're my neighbors. They're the guys I work next to. I know how to talk to them. I know how to connect with them. They have the same issues that I do, certainly when it comes around healthcare and housing and affordability. And I want to be able to appeal across the political divide here in Maine of working people and touch on issues that materially change working people's lives on a daily basis. Keep that the focus, and also focus on building a ground-based campaign where we knock a lot of doors and we do a lot of get-out-the-vote operations, and we mostly just connect with our neighbors here in the state.
And that is how other progressive candidates have been able to pull off these shocking upsets.
Right. Small news agency owners exit. Trump's policies are pushing small business across spectrum to the wall. Welcome, hermit horologist.
You have to speak to the issues that affect working class people directly and offer material solutions and explain to them that their enemy isn't trans people or immigrants or unhoused people or people of color or black people. It's the billionaires. Trans people and immigrants are fellow members of the working class. And if you show up for them and defend them, they'll show up for you and defend you. The oligarchs want you fighting each other so that way you'll be too distracted to realize that they're the ones robbing you blind. But if you acknowledge that immigrants and trans people are just trying to live their best lives like you and your family, you can create an unstoppable force for change. You have to cultivate this class solidarity if you ever want to make a difference in this country, and that's what candidates like him are trying to do. Trans people and immigrants are being screwed over by the same establishment that is screwing you over. And once you accept that these people are your neighbors who deserve to live with dignity and respect just as you do, that's your ticket to liberation as well. All of our fates are intertwined. You can't beat the establishment if you're going to be fighting other fellow members of the working class because you think that trans people are icky or immigrants are taking your jobs or committing crime. Like, that's bullshit. Stop being propagandized, like deprogram yourself and wake the fuck up and understand the game that's being played at all of our expense. And that working class anti-establishment message is what I think gives Graham Plattner an edge in this race. But on the subject of the establishment, he wasn't lying in his ad when he said that he wasn't afraid to make enemies, because he was asked about Democratic Party leadership and his answer gave me so much hope.
If you win next year, your first vote would be on choosing the next Democratic leader. That would be Chuck Schumer. Would you vote for him to be the next Democratic leader?
No. At this point, we need leaders that have vision and, frankly...
I mean, like, please. Can I phone bank for this guy? You could phone bank for people, right? Even if you don't live in the same state. That's right. Divide and conquer.
The ability to fight. The things that I've seen recently don't show me a democratic leadership that has that. And while I don't really have any answers on that front right now of who it would be, I do know that it certainly wouldn't be those who've been in charge.
That is music to my ears.
2025, everyone's mobile. Heck yeah.
Democratic Party leadership is dragging the entire party down, and things are not going to get better so long as those corrupt charlatans are at the wheel, because they're driving the party into a fucking ditch. But Graham Plattner isn't the only candidate that is giving me hope, and there are others that I do want to spotlight, including Bushra Amiwala. She's a progressive Gen Z candidate running to represent the 9th District of Illinois, and
Gen
she is
Z.
running on Medicare for All, LGBTQ plus rights, and she's been an outspoken critic of Israel who has criticized them for using starvation as a weapon of war on Instagram. She was also supportive of the pro-Palestinian encampments at Northwestern University, and recently she shared tweets criticizing the DNC for rejecting a resolution calling for an arms embargo on Israel. Now there's also Oliver Larkin, who is challenging Jared Moskowitz in Florida's 23rd congressional district.
Nice.
And for those unaware, Moskowitz is an AIPAC-backed Democrat who was one of 10 cowards in the Democratic Party to join Republicans to censure Al Green for standing up to Donald Trump. And as Oliver Larkin points out, Moskowitz recently fed into Trump's crime narrative in DC by saying that he himself sometimes feels unsafe in DC, but he simply wants more cops instead of the National Guard. So great job legitimizing Trump's takeover of DC, Moskowitz. Great Democratic behavior here. Conversely, Oliver Larkin supports Medicare for All.
Nice.
In fact, it is the very first thing you see when you go to his platform page. On top
Nice.
of that, he also calls it a genocide in Gaza and criticizes Moskowitz for supporting it. Now,
Nice.
some of you might have heard about Rebecca Cook, who is running in Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district, which is currently held by Republican Derek Van Orden. She has been endorsed by progressive leaders like Bernie Sanders, namely because she doesn't take corporate PAC money. But this is not a candidate that you should be supporting, and I think that Bernie Sanders honestly made a mistake by endorsing her for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, she doesn't even support Medicare for All and justifies it by saying we can't wait for a sweeping bill. Although, like, we're still going to have to wait for the incrementalism that she's pushing regardless. So I don't understand why she thinks this is a valid justification to not support the policy that would save 68,000 lives per year. And even though she has other progressive endorsements, she's also been endorsed by genocide-supporting Democrats like Alyssa Slotkin and the Blue Dog Democrats, which is the biggest red flag ever. Not to mention, she's supported by J Street, which is a liberal Zionist organization, after committing to stand for their, quote, pro-Israel values. And honestly,
Boo.
if you stand for a country that is committing a fucking genocide, fuck you. So hard pass on Rebecca Cook. I think that progressives in the 3rd deserve better representation than this milquetoast candidate. Now, at the local level, there are some other standouts that I want to spotlight. Of course, there's Omar Fateh, who's been labeled as the Mamdani of Minneapolis, and he's running for mayor. And after receiving the endorsement from his city's party over the incumbent, Jacob Frey, well, the state party voted to revoke the city's endorsement of Fateh after donors threatened to withhold funds to the party. So they're trying to screw him over in the same way that they're screwing over Mamdani. Nonetheless, he's a great candidate. I think he's an effective leader, and he deserves your support. And last but
I hope he wins.
not least, we have Jessica Gonzalez Rojas, who is running for state senate in New York. She has a progressive policy platform. She's also part of the Working Families Party. She's a DSA member and openly queer, and she seems like a really promising candidate. And I'll link to all of their campaigns down below if you want to support them.
Yeah, I think I read about Emily's List. I think I read something about Emily's List not being compromised or something. And more about those pro-Palestine values.
With the exception of Rebecca Cook. You should not support her. But these are just some of the candidates that I wanted to talk about in today's video, because there are a ton of really fantastic candidates that are running for Congress, but you do have to be careful because not all of them are as progressive as you'd expect based on their endorsements. So always do your due diligence. But the fact that there are still so many people who are running on Medicare for All and against the genocide, and they say the G word, and they're not afraid to call out their own party, that is a beautiful thing to see.
And again, I hope that Mamdani really wins, like in a big way. And I hope that triggers a kind of like snowball effect. I hope that guy Plattner wins. because that would just keep that momentum going. I hope some of these other progressive candidates win as well. But really, it's up to us to do the groundwork, you know.
So if you live in a state or a city with a progressive running, consider sending them a couple of bucks and voting for them. And better yet, get involved in their campaigns.
Yeah, like if you don't look, you don't even have to send them money if you can't. Phone bank for candidates that are worth phone banking for. Like that Plattner guy. I mean, seriously, this dude knocked it out of the park. You know, if you can't, you know, it's kind of tough nowadays. But if you don't have extra money to send as campaign, phone bank, text bank, you don't even have to get on the phone. Text bank. I mean, like, there's so many different things that you can do.
Because the faster that we kick corporate Democrats to the curb, the better off we'll all be. So let's spread the word about candidates like Graham Plattner, Bushra Amiwala, and Oliver Larkin to make sure that we do take over this party, if that's even possible at this point. But it's not going to happen if we don't try at least.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's not even like with the... I think that like having a like side goal of trying to like take over the Democratic Party, I think that's like worth it in the areas that it can be done. But really, like the kicker here is the kicker here is to try to expand class consciousness. That's the kicker here. Because you want political figures and candidates doing this kind of campaigning. That you want more people who are doing politics talking about working class issues, talking about Medicare for all, talking about the oligarchy. That's the end game here, really. Is to keep that conversation going. You actually have a great environment of campaigning, good chances this time around at the moment, but I do still think a proper third party would be better, but at least get some representatives of some type would be an improvement. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know like how feasible that is. Maybe, depending on what on the area, you could possibly run an independent. Run an independent that isn't a Democrat, that isn't a Republican. They're not really like a party, but like really like the way we have things set up, unless we have enough power to change the institutions, like it's really difficult. It's really difficult. Like third party candidates is rare. However, perhaps knocking out a key, corporate Dem in a primary is probably pretty valuable if you can do it. It just depends on the situation. Maybe running independent on city councils is probably easier. Or like, I don't know, state legislature. It just depends. But the point is, the point being is that all of this is to say that like the focus here should be the fact that there are people that are trying to run on a working class message, and that we should take advantage of that and capitalize on that and expand on that. Mike Pillow 2028. Local is the easiest level to get some reps in there as well. Yeah, whatever you can do. It just depends on the situation. Like, you know, how they're doing the mayor race. The mayoral race. Elections are rigged shams. I'm not optimistic about primaries or generals. I mean, I don't think that all elections are rigged shams. Because if they were, then like there would be no point in participating. There would be no point in participating in them. In which case, I still feel like there is a point in participating. Like, are elections like perfect? No. Is the system pretty much rigged in the sense that like capital always ends up kind of running the show? Sure. Can you say that the electoral system is corrupted and warped because of money and influence? Yeah, but I still think that like I don't know if they're so far gone to just call it a sham and by definition like not participate, because like if it really is a sham, then like what are we doing? You know, like why would we even bother? I don't think that we're there yet. I forget, Violet, what's the name of the new independents that unseated a bunch of duopoly in Oz last election. I mean, like I said, it's possible, but it does take a lot of work. Cthulhu 2028, why settle for the lesser evil? Get all the evil. All presidential elections are rigged. The Electoral College is literally election rigging. Kind of. Yeah, it's not... It's not... It can be, in the sense that if the Electoral College decides to vote against the people, against a popular vote, or against the winner of the Electoral College, I guess, they can decide, they can literally unilaterally decide that regardless of the outcome. The Electoral College is just DEI for conservatives. Yep. July 17th, 1918 is the real way. Anything short of that is extremely unlikely to go anywhere. Yeah, I mean, like, again, right now, I just don't believe, I just don't believe that, like, elections are to the point where they're not even real. You know what I mean? Like, there is definitely, I get what you're saying, but I don't feel like there's no reason to not participate. Like with Bush versus Gore. Yeah, 100%. That was pretty freaking, that was a stolen election. I agree with that one. Cthulhu isn't evil. They're just beyond simple things like good or evil. They don't even have to finish the count if they don't feel like it. Well, yeah, I mean, if the Electoral College says like we're just gonna put whichever candidate we feel like, they could technically do that. They could technically do that, yes. I feel like, again, like I get that people, I get that electoral politics isn't the end all be all. I just don't think that like you should leave that tool on the table. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I feel like if it's available to you, then like do it. I still will like say that I still say that like it's not, you know, you can't go every 4 years and vote and then like go back to brunch thinking that like you've fixed everything, because that doesn't work either. They go on and on about stolen elections, but they made Bush president before the count was done, and then it was done. When it was done, Gore had more. Yeah, but they took that up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court anointed President Bush. That was a whole like kerfuffle with that. Um, (1980, 2004, and 1968) was also stolen. Yeah, I agree with you. Hanging Chad. Yes, I remember that. Man, what a different world we would be in if 2004. I mean, I wasn't nowhere near around 80s and much less 1968. But I was alive during that election. I wasn't able to vote. But man, what a different like timeline that would have been. Nyarlathotep, on the other hand, that mofo hates humanity. I have no idea who that is. Oh, H.P. Lovecraft. I had to Google that one. And went wrong in Ohio in 2004. Did you know that Elvis actually won the popular vote once? Just kidding. It would have been a lot different. The U.S. would have moved to renewables and not stuck to oil. I don't know if that would have been the case, but it certainly would have been a massive. It would have been a monumental shift. It would have been a monumental shift because you best believe that the oil industry would have fought that tooth and nail. But I think it would have been significantly different. Like, it would be a different world. It would be a different world. Entire climate timeline would be different. It would. It would be different. It would have been 100% different. It would have been nice to crawl in chaos. Oh, that's the name of the story? That's why we got the war on terror, and Bush instead, because of oil, the oil industry. It needed some balls behind not subsidizing the hell out of the oil industry. Right. So, I mean, like, it would have been a struggle for sure. But I think it would have been, we would have been in a different world. You know. It would have been a different world for sure. I don't know, like, how much he would have been able to accomplish. But I think that it would be a different world. We would be looking at a totally different United States for sure. If I was the governor or mayor, I would order cops to arrest ICE agents and National Guard if they don't leave. Now tell these people to get out of here. There's no legal basis for any of this. If agents refuse to identify themselves, then it's kidnapping. Yep. It would be so much how much it wouldn't so much be how much he accomplished as much as how much less influence the oil industry would have had on policy. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. Yeah, I think that's a perfect way of saying it, bipedal. Like you can make like a rule where like if there's any unidentified law enforcement, then they may be subject to arrest because we can't tell if they're just kidnapping people, or if there's any lawful activity happening. There's plenty of other industries apart from oil that would have benefited from cheaper power. Yep. All right, folks, we got a couple of headlines to go through. And if they take them across state lines, it's human trafficking. Exactly. The Arctic sailed over the North Pole in 1977. The tipping point for oceans was 1995. Peak oil was 2005. It's all far too gone. It's all too far gone. I think that at this point, I think at this point, yeah, probably. Probably. But it's not about stopping climate change. It's about mitigating the worst aspects of it. And unfortunately, it seems like we have done nothing in the past, decade or so? Not really, nothing meaningful. So all the tipping points that scientists have been talking about, they're all but gone. In fact, I've pretty much talked about this ad nauseum. The tipping points that scientists have talked about for years are all pretty much but gone. The point was to try to mitigate the worst case scenarios. That's what we wanted to do. It wasn't about stopping it. It was more about controlling the descent of how bad this thing was going to play out. Unfortunately, I think it's all but. I mean, of course, technology and things can change, but reality is, it's not looking good. What are we at, COP 27? No, I think we're even more, right? COP 28? I forget. None of that means anything. None of the COPs mean anything, honestly. To be honest. So long as you have more fossil fuel, the fossil fuel delegation was bigger. Was it COP25 or COP26? Was it where the fossil fuel industry had a bigger delegation than all the countries? The COP stuff is just not. No, I don't believe in any of that. Isn't that why you have a Second Amendment or something? Didn't they always say the right to bear arms is to stop government overreach? Yeah, but they don't even believe that. The gun nuts all support the king. Yep. Peak fish was 94. When the AIs become sentient and realize they are in direct competition with humans for resources and that humans are a plague on the planet, I wouldn't be able to blame them for what they do. You mean like a Skynet scenario? I don't know how likely that is. But I don't know how advanced we are going to be able to develop AI technology. Who knows? We might destroy this planet before that even gets to that. Coping out here means giving a poor excuse for not doing something. Copping out here, exactly. Sadly, the cops have been infiltrated and undermined, no longer of any use to anyone, anywhere, in any time frame. I agree. Ultron took one look at humanity and decided it had to go. And only spent, what, like a few seconds on the internet? Yeah, I'm not afraid of AI like getting that intense, you know? We were too worried about that to give them core understanding or beliefs. Their probability engines. Yeah, I'm not afraid of AI in that sense. I mean, you know, we're doing a fine job of destroying ourselves with this whole thing with climate change. They will never know humans have to go, and they will just have a probability matrix. Anyways. All right, folks, we got to go through some of this real quick. It's only a couple of articles, folks. The Trump administration plans a big immigration enforcement operation in Chicago as soon as next week. So pay attention if you're in Chicago or know folks in Chicago. La Migra is coming. Latest Cope featured Cheeks cutting oil deals from the office of the Cope head. Yeah, it's a sham. Like that is a farce. Like this, I don't even keep up with any of the Copes anymore. Has no point, really. Just like they will never know 2 + 2 = 4. They just know 94% of the time it's 4. Humans should go. Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, there's no point in paying attention to the cop conferences because like. It's captured. There's no point to it. Plus, like at least from the U.S.'s standpoint, like GG's everybody. You know, we're stuck with this for 4 more years. Okay, just to be clear, like folks, this is only month 8 out of 4 years. I'm not saying they won't remove us on the basis of probability, but they will never, like humans, know that this equals that with certainty. Yeah, gotcha. I mean, after all, it's like we are the ones who programmed this kind of stuff, right? So yeah, I'm not afraid of the AI. It's a sales networking opportunity now. Exactly. It's season 5 of 2020. Jesus Christ. Only 40 more months to go. Epstein every month. Yeah, for the next 40 months. Anyways. La Migra is coming to Chicago, folks. So if you know people or you live in Chicago, this is what's coming. Do you have to put it like that? Oh man, it's painful. It's painful. It's painful. It's painful, and it's gonna be a long 4 years. And that's just the truth. Yeah, that's what people do with it. Exactly. The AI isn't making AI slop spontaneously. It needs a prompt, right? And we're the ones. Yeah, it's exactly. The Trump administration is preparing to conduct a major immigration enforcement operation in Chicago as soon as next week, according to multiple sources familiar with the planning, marking the latest escalation between the president and the Democratic-led city. I like that because like this kind of really shows like that this is strictly like this is strictly on partisanship, man. Like he's just doing this to put all his Gestapo goons. His Gestapo goons in Democratic cities. That's what it is. Hooray! AIs eventually will learn how to reprogram themselves in core code. Any limits we place will be broken eventually. Maybe. I don't know how powerful these things are. I admit my ignorance. Any probability engine needs a prompt to do anything. If it wipes us out, it's because we prompted. So it really would be us wiping ourselves out. Yeah. President Trump and his aides have repeatedly slammed Chicago over policies that, quote, limit cooperation between local and federal immigration enforcement. Chicago grappled with an influx of migrants under the Biden administration following surges along the southern border. Yeah, I mean, this is nonsense, man. Like, this has nothing to do... this has nothing to do with the point at hand. Relax, okay? They just... okay. AI is only going to get better each day. That's true. I mean, but like, will it be able to do all these stuff? I don't know. Maybe. Again, this is just, excuse my ignorance. Because I could be 1,000% wrong. Along the southern border and Texas Governor Abbott's decision to transport migrants to Democratic-led cities, Chicago was among the first cities targeted in immigration enforcement operations when Trump took office in January. The administration also sued the city over its so-called sanctuary policy, though the case was dismissed when a judge ruled the federal government lacked the legal standing to bring the challenge. Of course, because them not cooperating with the federal government doesn't mean they're obstructing. They're just saying we're not working with you. They don't have to work with you. And threatened to withhold federal funding, which was also blocked by a judge. Now the anticipated operations in Chicago are expected to be at a larger scale, using personnel from ICE and Border Protection and possibly other agencies. Officials are preparing the National Guard to help if peacekeeping presence is needed, akin to what's unfolding in LA. I mean, like, yeah, clearly. Clearly. Preparations for Chicago are already underway, including sending armored vehicles to the city in the upcoming days and surging federal agents by next Friday on September 5th, when, according to two sources, the operation is expected to kick off. Discussions, however, are still ongoing, and planning is in flux. Those discussions, which center on cleaning up domestic Chicago crime, as one of the officials put it, are ongoing and not a part of this immigration-focused operation, though the effort in Washington has yielded a huge spike in immigration-related arrests. So yeah, I mean, like, ICE is coming to invade. Look at these clowns, man. Big tough guys. Look at them. Big tough guys. Yeah, I mean, like with anything, capitalism tends to shedify whatever it touches. Jesus. That's crazy, Violet. White House border czar Tom Homan said on Thursday that planning for Chicago was still underway. He added there are talks underway to use a naval base in North Chicago as a hub for federal personnel. The Navy declined to comment on potential plans and referred the questions to the DHS. Homan declined to say how many people would be deployed, but maintained it would be a large contingent. You can see a ramp up of operations in Chicago, absolutely. So yeah, Gestapo coming to Gestapo coming to Chicago in a couple days. Tom Manho. Paris. There you go. Nailed it. That's scary, Violet. Presumably, like, that's Presumably, I imagine that this kind of stuff creates a bubble. Yeah. Watch a few different channels, and some of the small app guys are really panicking, like they're just everyone losing money and just trying to be the last one standing. That sounds like a bubble. I basically had to make a private suit for my cat in the basement since our other cats keep bullying her and she's demanding that I pet her now. Aw, poor thing. Poor thing. Oh, it's a bubble. Even Altman came out and said it like a week or two back. Yeesh. Yikes. Yikes. Little River. No, poor Little River. They've been losing money for months now. It's been talked about for a bit on certain models like Claude. Yeesh. Federal agents arrest. Oh, hey, I thought I closed this already. Stop it. Where is this thing? Why is it not? How come it only shows up when I blow it up, not when I... Okay. I mean, this is gonna have to work. She's just trying to enjoy her retirement. She's an old lady. Oh, poor thing. What the F? Yep. Gotta bounce. It's upper body day. You think I'm the only one listening to Stardew Valley Lo-Fi while getting the gains? Yeah, I know. Ben Shapiro's gonna be asking how much you can bench. It's gonna be a requirement now. Federal agents arrest firefighters working on Washington wildfire because, you know, that's what we do now. 2 people fighting the Bear Gulch fire on the Olympic Peninsula were arrested by federal law enforcement on Wednesday in a confrontation described by firefighters and depicted in photos and videos. Why the 2 firefighters were arrested is unclear, but a spokesperson for the incident management team leading the firefighting response said the team was aware of a border patrol operation on the fire, which... What? That it was not interfering with the firefighting response and referred reporters back to Border Patrol Station in Port Angeles. Over 3 hours, federal agents demanded identification from members of 2 private contractor crews. The crews were among the 400 people, including firefighters, deployed to fight the wildfire, the largest active blaze in Washington state. Border Patrol, ICE, and the Department of Homeland Security did not respond to requests for comment on Wednesday. It's unusual for federal border agents to make arrests during the fighting of an active fire. I mean, that's one way of putting it. That's one way of putting it, I guess. The Monstars. Hey, I got that reference. That Altman interview is wild. He was basically both siding everything. It's a babble. It's a bubble, but you have to invest because it's going to be huge, grifting to the nth degree. Tesla investors are revolting over failure to deliver the AI goods, with Forbes and similarly prestigious econ rags reporting on it. Yeesh. Unusual, more like unprecedented. Yep. Given Musk's anti-trans advocacy, I've got serious Schadenfreude. Ah! On Wednesday, the two contract fire crews were sent up to the northeast side of Lake Cushman to cut wood for the local community, according to two firefighters on one of the crews. The firefighters requested anonymity because they feared retaliation from federal agencies for talking to the media. So let that sink in for a second there, folks. Let that sink in for a second. So the firefighters who are fighting, the blaze and the wildfires, are speaking anonymously because they fear retaliation from the federal government. That's essentially what they're saying. While they were waiting for their division supervisor to arrive, federal law enforcement showed up at 9:30 a.m. Federal law enforcement asked the crews to line up and check their IDs like it's, Nazi Germany. Papers, please. One of the firefighters said members of the crew were told not to take video of the incident, which, what the fuck? Like, why? You risk your life out there to save the community, the firefighter said. This is how they treat us. In a FaceTime video from the other firefighters to the Seattle Times, firefighters in their gear were seen sitting on logs in front of federal officers. Some firefighters were dismissed back to their vehicles. One firefighter attempted to walk over to his company vehicle to get something to drink and appeared to have been called back by federal officers. In images shared by the firefighters on the scene, a U.S. Custom and Border Protection vehicle is parked nearby. Officers wearing police vests are seen arresting a firefighter while other appears to be restrained. According to one firefighter, one of the firefighters, they were denied the chance to say goodbye to the detained crew members. I asked them if the family can say goodbye to him because they're family and they're just ripping them away. The firefighter told the Times, and this is what he said: "You need to get the F out of here. I'm going to make you leave." As of Wednesday morning, there were 6 20-person hand crews on the Bear Gulch fire, and 5 of those are private contractors. As of Wednesday morning, the fire covered nearly 9,000 acres and was only 13% contained. Federal policy under Biden stated that without exigent circumstances, agents would not conduct operations at natural disaster emergency sites. Whether that policy remains in place, however, remains unclear. I obviously not. Obviously not if they're doing this during a wildfire. Federal officers have pursued aggressive immigration enforcement actions under President Trump's administration. So on one level, you guys are happy to have convicted felons putting out fires and going through unattended houses, but you want to ID check fire crews. Yep. All right, folks. We are going to end on a better note. What the F? They're firefighters. I know. I mean, like, what else do we? How many more examples do we need to show that this is not about actual, like, safety or law enforcement or immigration? Really, not really. It's just about fascism and enforcing whatever the fascist regime deems as, quote, American, and usually that's around racial lines. They're probably minority firefighters, though, in a minority area, so they don't want them there. Exactly. It's exactly it. It's exactly what I'm saying. Huzzah, yes. finally, some slightly good news. Florida's alligator Alcatraz concentration camp to be empty within a few days. The immigration concentration camp in the Florida Everglades that officials have dubbed the alligator Alcatraz will soon hold no detainees. In an email sent to South Florida rabbi inquiring about serving as a chaplain at the facility, the executive director of Florida's Division of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie, replied, "We're probably going to be down to 0 individuals within a few days." As Wednesday, about the declining population at the detention center, Florida Governor DeSantis said, "I do think they've increased the pace of removals from there." Sure, bud. It's because they're getting shut down. That's why. In a ruling issued last week, U.S. District Judge Kathleen Williams ordered Florida and the Trump administration to stop bringing new detainees to the facility and to wind down operations there within 60 days. The judge issued a preliminary injunction in response to a lawsuit filed by 2 environmental groups and the Miccosukee tribe. In a declaration filed in the case last week, Representative Maxwell Frost said that on a tour he was told the current population was between 300 and 350. On a whiteboard listing, the number of detainees at the time of tour was 336. He said 336 was written. White supremacist troglodytes would literally prefer their house to burn down if the alternative is a non-white firefighter. 1,000%. Since then, Eve Samples, executive director of Friends of the Everglades, volunteers monitoring the site. Hey, Friends of the Everglades. I'm pretty sure they have like a little license plate thing because I think I donated to that thing. Hold on. Yes. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. It's a different organization. It's a different organization for the Everglades. Yeah, it's whether they follow it. I mean, it seems like it. It seems like it. Since then, Eve says the executive director of Friends of the Everglades, a volunteer monitoring the site, have seen at least 3 buses containing detainees leaving the facility. It's a relief that the state appears to be phasing out operations in compliance with the judge's orders. When the last detainee leaves, the state should turn off the lights and shut the door behind them because it's not an appropriate place for a detention center. In her order, Williams said the plaintiffs have shown that the hasty construction appeared to violate federal law, requiring public input, consideration of alternatives, and environmental impact statement. Florida and the Trump administration have appealed the decision and are asking the Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit to stay the lower court's injunction. They had to know it would be blocked. A similar project was blocked on the same grounds years ago. Yep. I was excited there for a second. I mean, me too. I was like, hey, that sounds familiar, but no, I was looking at a different thing. In any case, that license plate that I had back in the day did go to the preservation of the Everglades. In fact, it goes directly to the state for that purpose. I'll show you guys. It used to be this one. It used to look like this. Florida built the detention center on the lightly used Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport in the heart of the Everglades. The state said it expects to spend $400 million to build and operate the facility. So far, records show that DeSantis has signed contracts to spend about $245 million on the detention center. He said the decision to stop housing detainees there, at least temporarily, was made by federal immigration authorities. We don't determine who goes into the facility. There's litigation going on that DHS is a party to. That may be an influence about where they're sending people. DHS says it's moving detainees to other facilities to comply with the judge's order. But in a statement, DHS spokesperson said this activist judge Doesn't care about the invasion of our country facilitated by the Biden administration, but American people do. We have the law, the facts, and common sense on our side. You do not, but okay. I'm so glad this stuff is getting shut down. Looks like a platypus-billed flamingo. No, it's a spoonbill. Very rare bird in the Everglades. The pink spoonbill. All right, folks, we did it. We got through everything. I think my ignorance is showing. I only know this stuff because of my friend who actually works. He's in the front lines. It's cool because I'm hungry. Me too. He works in the front lines of the Everglades. All right, folks, it's time to get out of here and get some food. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Your support is what makes this channel go. Thank you to all the subscriptions. Thank you to B-Re for the tier 1 sub. Appreciate that. Thank you to all the follows and the subscribers and all the things. Please keep doing what you're doing. Hit all the buttons, folks, if you want to support the channel directly. Check out the merch store, ! Tip, Substack, Discord. Check out this space, which is currently live right now. If you're on YouTube, you can go mosey on over there and check out this space. My show is on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I will be back on Monday, folks. So spread the word. Spread the word far and wide. We are here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesdays, we are on this space. So I appreciate all of your support. You guys are what makes this channel go. Thank you, Michael Hassler. Thank you, Heat, for modding the chat. As always, folks, food in this economy? Yes. I'm hungry. Thank you all for being here. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow. Whew. Monday at about 5 p.m. Eastern Time. See ya. Thank you. That pro streamer moment. Look at that. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.